Flirties, it's Black Friday here in the US. We're shopping for bargains, which is only fitting because today, on this episode, we're dating on a budget and answering your money questions with Bradley, aka Baddie Brad, aka Bradley, on a budget. As together, we're diving into budget friendly date ideas that won't break the bank, but will still create meaningful connections that are a lot of fun. We'll tackle the common concern of feeling like you maybe can't date if you don't have a lot of money. You can, and explore why money seems to matter so much in the dating world. We'll also address one of the most debated questions in dating: who's paying on a first date? And of course, we'll answer more of your burning questions about money and dating. Then at the end, Bradley shares some of his best tips for saving money. So, whether you're looking to not overspend while still having a great dating life or just want to understand the financial dynamics in dating better, this episode is for you. Now, let's meet Bradley and date on a budget. Let's go, flirties.
I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the flirt coach and a gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt.
Flirties, today we're going to be talking about cash money and dating on a budget with our special guest for this conversation, Bradley, aka Bradley on a Budget, aka Baddie Brad. Hello.
That's me. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Bradley. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited for this. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, I'm excited as well. I slid right into those DMs and I said, Bradley, I have an idea for an episode of Flirtations, as I have gotten to know you primarily through your content on TikTok, but also over on Instagram as well, and why you are the perfect fit for this conversation. So if you could tell the Flirties a little bit more about yourself here. Yeah, what you do, what you create, what's happening.
Okay, sure. Let's do it. So my name is Bradley. I am a 31-year-old single adult.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on that. So before I was 21 years old, I was in $130,000 of debt. For those who support me on my page, you know the story. But for those who don't, I made a really awful decision in going into higher education. Didn't know what I was doing, ended up in 6 figures of debt at such a young age, which really shaped the foundation of how I look at money, how I think about money, my relationship with money. So, which then has developed into who I am now as a 31-year-old adult 10 years later. On TikTok, I talk a lot about how I dug myself out of that situation, the sacrifices I made, how it's important to change your mindset because we live in such a spending and consumerism culture. And I'm trying to get people to wake up. I call them financial freakouts, where I just scream because literally I think people need to hear it. People need that wake up call in the culture we live in around money and spending. So I guess that's it in a nutshell.
So good. Yes, I'm watching. I'm looking at the comments. I'm trying to take in your advice. I will just say there's a reason I give flirting and dating advice and not financial advice.
Me and dating, we'll see. This podcast is meant for you because dating is not my topic. So, but I'll talk about money till the sun sets. So,
and that's why we're doing this together. Yes, my budget is a hope and a prayer. My budget is pay the minimum. My budget is, that looks pretty.
Okay, we'll talk after the show.
My budget is sweet treat every day. I know you would not approve of that.
You're making my heart race.
Oh, God. All right, so let's get into this conversation. As the first question I want to ask, we're going to be getting into your dating questions, of course, dating on a budget, budget-friendly date ideas. Who's paying? all of that good stuff. But right here at the top, why do you think money is such a sensitive topic, not just in dating, but in life?
I know for me personally, it's actually really interesting because I've been on TikTok for 5 years now, and I am such an open book. I really
Mhm.
talk about everything on there, but
Mhm.
the one thing I never talked about was my student loan debt,
Mm.
because I just feel like in society and the culture we live in, unless you're winning financially, I feel like no one wants to hear it. And then we don't want to share that ourselves.
Mm. Mhm.
There's just this thing. I just feel like in culture and the society we live in, everything is consumed by money.
Mhm.
And, it creates your image of yourself, how you see other people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know from my own personal story, even growing up, like money was a problem in my house growing up, and it caused a
Mhm.
lot of fights and stress and issues. So
Mhm.
I think even from an early age, I was like, oh, money's a really negative thing.
Yeah.
And even in my own student loan story, I just refused to talk about it because in my head, I was like, I don't want people, for one, I just didn't want people to know that about me. But
Sure.
I think I kind of wanted to create this image
Mhm.
that it wasn't an image of having money, but it
Mhm.
was also this image of not struggling with money.
Sure.
So I think we all just kind of pretend and put on a happy face that the finances are 10 out of 10,
Mhm.
when I think for a lot of us, that's the opposite. I think,
Mhm.
a lot of people are stressed about money, have
Mhm.
a bad relationship with money. And that's where I take a lot of pride in my content. I never thought sharing my student loan story, it would go viral. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I said, well, so many people have student loan debt. I'm no more special than anyone else. No one's going to care.
Yeah.
Like, I really thought no one would care. And then it changed my life.
Yeah.
So I really take a lot of pride in now talking about the debt that I've had, but also now the income I make and showing people both sides of the
Sure.
coin.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into later in the show. I'm going to ask you some money saving tips.
Mm,
How you did just that, went to go on to pay down your six-figure student loan debt. But right here, I feel like you're speaking to a few themes that a lot of us have um, with money, and that is shame
mm,
around it. If you feel like you're comparing yourself to others, if you're perceiving or equating money with sort of someone's worth or confidence where you don't have as much money. So now you maybe start to devalue yourself a little bit. And what's coming to mind is also this phrase I know we've all heard all over the world, and it's like money buys happiness.
mm,
Money, I think for many of us, is this ticket out of whatever struggle, misery, desperation, loneliness, isolation, heartbreak,
mm,
whatever we're feeling, whatever we're experiencing. What I know is money does not buy happiness, but it does buy choice. And
mm,
when we have more choices, when we have less anxiety and less pressure over how we spend our money, it does create just overall more freedom and
mm,
more breathing room in our life. And so I think it's just, yeah, if you maybe aren't where you're at in life, or you are in a lot of debt, and there's a lot of us hold that in and we keep it a secret, and
mm.
secrets lead to shame a lot of the time.
Right. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm an open book, so this
Mhm.
just popped in my mind. But like when I was at the worst of my financial situation,
Yeah.
there was a night where this was before I was in counseling therapy,
Hmm.
um, that I ended up in a hospital from
Mm,
drinking too much.
mm,
And I don't even remember what happened that night. I just remember waking up in a hospital bed. And,
mhm.
again, that was before I started talking to someone
Yeah.
about everything going on in my life. But the student loan debt was such a
Yeah.
massive piece. So
Yeah.
it definitely has its consequences when you fight your fight alone, you keep it all in, you think no one cares.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so passionate about talking about my student loan debt or what I've done to get out of it, because I want people to see that there's someone like them, like I never had at the beginning of my financial journey.
Mm. Yeah, it's important to see someone that's been in your shoes if you're struggling or you're just having any kind of debt right now, that there's a way out and that you did it really just with careful planning and a strategy. Like
Mm, right.
it wasn't magic. It was It was just really good planning, something I could learn from.
Yeah, I hope people don't take this the wrong way, but something I tell myself all the time is like, I did nothing special. I did nothing, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
I think the accomplishment that I've been able to
Mhm.
accomplish is special, but it's like I just said no to things. Like I just
Well, and that's it. You made sacrifices. A lot of
yeah,
people
right.
aren't they're not willing to sacrifice the sweet treats, Bradley, and the coffee. It's so yummy.
Yeah, well, luckily I'm a gay who doesn't like coffee, so I
What?
know, I
How
know.
do
So
you
I
survive?
I lucked out. I'm just high on life at this point, so
Oh my
I'm
god.
lucky. I know, right?
That's how you got out of debt. You don't buy
Right.
coffee.
I'm one of the lucky ones.
Where I'm at in life, I'll talk about candidly. It's like I've got this whole flirt coach thing going with the podcast and my content, and it's going really well. I also still work at a grocery store, and that's my primary source of income. And when I quit my full time 9 to 5 over 2 years ago, it was not part of the plan to go back into the workforce in any kind of traditional sense.
Mm,
But it got to the point where I had no choice because when I quit my job to start my business, I sold my house. And my business plan was a hope and a prayer, Bradley. My
uh-huh.
business plan was tomorrow it'll happen.
Of
Tomorrow.
course.
Always tomorrow. Then tomorrow came, and I found myself in a lot of debt with no more money, having to move
Mm,
out of my family's house because it had been a year and I'm in my late 30s,
mhm,
trying to build this dream that is the Flirt Coach mission. Um, and I was just at a complete crisis of confidence. Like, never in
mm,
my life did I think I'd be essentially unemployed, working on a dream that not everyone is going to understand or try to understand, living at home, broke, right?
mm,
Not amazing, but that's where we're at. And what are you going to do? You just got to keep going and you got to figure it out. And that's what
mm,
we're doing. So I'm working through my own money, just blocks and ideas, and being totally okay with where I'm at in life. Like, here I am in my 1 bedroom apartment, no frills, doesn't even have a
mm.
garbage disposal, Bradley.
Me neither. Can't
No
relate. Can
frills.
relate.
Yeah, but in so many ways, and I have less money than I've ever had in my life, but
Mm,
I feel still this more freedom also than
mm.
I've ever felt, which is weird in a way.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. On to talking about some money stuff. Let's get into the dating part of the conversation. Why do you think? I think what a question I want to ask here is what at what point maybe do you start talking about money and dating, or why how much money someone may have?
Mm.
Does it matter or does it not?
That is obviously a question that's definitely not black or white. At like
Hmm.
the 1 month mark, you should be talking about it.
Yeah.
I think maybe as time is going on,
Hmm.
and you're going on dates with someone and you're maybe getting closer and building that connection. I know I just had the whole spiel of like we should be open about our money, but it is sensitive to talk about.
It
But
is.
you know, money is one of the biggest reasons why relationships don't work,
Hmm.
because money causes so many problems and stress, and you really do have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
So if it's someone you're getting serious with and you think, you want to go from dating to in a committed relationship,
Hmm.
I would just say probably before you get to that stage of like,
Yeah.
we official? Is this it? Like, you probably should have the conversation. And I think for me, if I'm going on dates with someone, I want to show them who I am.
Hmm.
I don't want to be this character that I'm not,
Right.
because sooner or later the mask is going to come off.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's important, if you value money,
Hmm.
and someone who's responsible with money, I think it's okay to have that conversation, because that's who you are.
Yeah.
You know, so many people ask me, as someone who's frugal, borderline cheap. I really say I'm cheap, but everyone's like, "You're frugal." I'm like, "No, I'm cheap." If you guys knew, I'm cheap.
Okay.
But if you are 6 months to a year with this person and you haven't gotten on the same page of how you value money, how you think about money, your relationship with money, do you know what I mean?
I hear a lot from daters. It's like, well, Benjamin, I'm at a certain place in my career or in my life where I can afford a certain lifestyle, right? I
Right.
like to travel. And so I'm not going to be with someone or date with someone. Like I'm not supporting someone financially in the dating process. You know, when we are in a committed relationship and we negotiate however that is going to work when it comes to money, that's different. But when we're dating and we want to go out and try restaurants or concerts or even travel, something like that, like I want to be with someone who can match that lifestyle. And so I get that. Yeah, I really do. I mean, if
Yeah.
you've worked really hard to be able to afford a certain lifestyle and you don't want to feel kind of quote unquote held back or like you can't do certain things with someone that you're looking to explore a connection with.
Right.
Yeah,
Could I share a personal story?
of
I don't
course.
know how much time we have, but I've talked about it on TikTok here and there sometimes, but it's something I think about kind of often because I was in my first relationship probably about 11 to 12 years ago.
Hmm.
And one of the biggest reasons why our relationship ended was my student loan debt.
Mm,
He came from a completely different world than I did. Like his parents paid for his college tuition. My parents were like, best of luck.
yeah.
And you know, I think at the end of the day, you know, it was young love. We met at 18. I think we did grow into two separate directions, but I did find out after we broke up that he did tell his best friend, who then
Mm,
told me, which was very odd. I'll never know why, but
hmm.
he told her that he hopes the next guy that he meets has money.
Mm,
And he also told her that he felt like the student loan debt was going to hold him back from the life that he wanted.
mm,
So I'm just thinking about that because those were things that you said. And I actually thought about it on my drive to work today,
hmm.
just thinking about the life I have now
Yeah.
and how I did a complete 180 on my finances and created this life that was kind of just like a dream in my head.
Yeah.
And now it's reality.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just think about like, had he stuck by my side, you know, I didn't need for him to pay the student loan payment, but I
Right.
needed him to be by my side and encourage me,
Hmm.
and be a supportive partner. And I know we weren't meant to be, so I'm not trying to go into like, oh, but you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is if someone meets someone
Hmm.
and they're maybe not exactly meeting them where their financial situation is,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say toss them out the door
Sure.
because
Yeah.
I look at myself and I dug myself out of such a bad financial situation. And it took 11 years. You know, I didn't do it in overnight. You know, what matters more, the money or the love for someone?
Right.
And finding
Right.
that balance, because I always think, you know, had he not given up on me, had he not ran away because he was scared from the student loan debt, like what could have been? You know what I mean? And I don't think about this every night. So anyone who's listening,
Well,
it's just every
yeah.
now and then I'm like, huh, I wonder if he didn't give up on me, like, and stuck with me.
Yeah.
You know, he would have seen all of this now.
I mean, I think what you're speaking to and kind of answering this when to talk about money question and dating too, it's like not putting the cart before the horse. And so, yes,
Hmm.
if you're going to be in a committed relationship with somebody, if you're going to be moving in together, if you're going to be sharing finances, if you're on a lease together, something like that, you have a right to know if someone has debt. That's only fair so that you can assess your risk tolerance with this
Right.
person and your financial risk is a part of that discussion. Um, then when it comes to lifestyle and all of that, it's really focusing on compatibility, and compatibility within a connection can certainly exist outside of just how much money both of you have. Yeah, and so for me, like it's definitely not going to be talking about money on a first date or a second date or even a third, something like that. But or even after becoming exclusive, right? We're off the apps, we're looking to just date one another.
Hmm.
We've defined we're monogamous, or if you're polyamorous, something like that. open relationship. And so sort of what the status is. But if then we are moving towards a label, we're becoming boyfriends, it's like, yeah, I need to know how much you're bringing home every month, like, and vice
Mm,
versa. I just think it's important to be that you can openly talk about that, and then work through anything that comes up. If there's some shame, if you are in debt, if you're was maybe anxious to share that with someone, it's like ultimately this can be a really important moment of growth in a relationship. Yeah, but it just going back to this conversation topic is just so oftentimes stressful and contentious, and it just doesn't have to be.
mm,
I don't think. That's like
right.
really it.
I
Yeah.
know, and I think too, it's like, okay, so you could meet someone,
Mhm.
they have a great salary, they, maybe have little to no debt, but that's not going to equate to happiness
No, God,
just because
no.
they have those things. And it's like, you really have to ask yourself, I feel like what matter, and I know people are probably going to roll their eyes at saying this, but
Mm.
it's like really what matters so much is just that you find that special person.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I hear that, from some daters that one of their needs is financial security. It's like,
Mm,
I need to know that this person can take care of themselves, right? That I am not going to be the one solely supporting them financially in a relationship. Or if you're looking to have a family and have children together or raise kids, and one of you is going to stay home, it's like of course those are huge, huge important conversations
mm,
to have, not on a first date or second date, but yeah, totally understand that you want to be financially secure
right.
in a relationship. I also just don't think, at least and this is me personally, it should have this grandiose amount of weight relative to other ways that you're going to build security, right? Can this person
Mm,
be vulnerable? Can they create intimacy? How's all of that going? Can they listen? Right? Like that is all at the end of the day way, way, way more important than what's in the bank account.
right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's ask this question now, because I got this, and I know you're going to be so good at answering this. For the dater that's like, Benjamin, I don't have a lot of money, or I'm in debt. I feel like I can't date, or I shouldn't date.
Mm.
What do you say to them?
I think everything has to be about moderation.
Mm,
It's about moderation and it's about self-control.
okay.
For me, this is what has worked for me. So if I'm going on a date with someone,
Mm-hmm.
if we which typically ends up being dinner, which
Okay.
people who support me on my TikTok page know I hate going out to eat because it is so expensive and it's such a waste of money and it makes me pissed off. But
Oh,
in
yeah.
terms of dating,
Uh huh.
that is typically where the first couple dates seem to go,
Yes.
is to a restaurant. So that's okay. But I think for one, let's keep it casual. We don't need to be doing some Michelin star place. We're
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
there. We're not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I think my first tip is just look for somewhere simple. Why does the first date have to be some stuffy, uppity type of restaurant? Just do
Mm-hmm.
something cute and casual because cute and
Mm-hmm.
casual is typically a little more affordable. I'm just thinking about one place that I typically like to go on a first date, and they sell tacos.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll typically get maybe an appetizer and two tacos, and it costs $15 total, and we call it a
Mm-hmm.
night.
Yeah.
Like, and if my date wants to get two drinks, an appetizer, an entree, go do it. You're you and I'm me. But as dating frugal, I
Mm-hmm.
am presenting to you how I roll, who I
Yeah.
am. And
Yeah.
to be honest too, when I go on first dates or second dates, I'm like, I don't know this person. I don't know if it's
Right.
going to work out. I am not investing 40, 50, $60 on a meal. I feel like when we go out, if it's on a date or with friends, we have to match their spending.
Mm.
So if our friends are getting drinks, we have to get drinks. If everyone at the table is getting an appetizer, now I have to get an appetizer.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
are your own person.
Yeah.
You have your financial goals that you're trying to achieve. You have your
Yeah.
spending limits.
Yeah.
Be yourself.
I like how you answered that because I don't want I don't want the flirties, anyone listening to feel like they can't date or to hold themselves back from dating based on their budget, whatever that is, if they don't have a lot of extra spending money. And so we're going to get into the dating on a budget ideas here very soon because I still want people to feel like they can go out there and date and make connections, that you don't have to break the bank, that you don't have to go on these very extravagant, long, expensive dates. And whether you're listening to this as a lady flirty or a guy flirty or a they flirty, right? We're going to get into like the who's paying in just a moment conversation.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, now we're going to talk about dating on a budget ideas because, and as someone that lives online a lot, there's a lot of content out there that is very much shaming the coffee date, the walk date. Some of these more low budget, you know, yes, relatively inexpensive, casual type of dates. And it's like, oh, well, if it's not dinner, I'm not going. If it's not this, right?
Mm,
Not for me. He's a low value man or something like that. And I'm
yeah.
like, okay, that you get to have your standards in place. If your dating standards is every date has to be a dinner, let it be a dinner. I also will say that you stand to be single a lot longer than you probably want to be if that is one of your
Mhm.
standards and it's just not the flex that you think it is. It doesn't
No.
mean you're going on dates with high value men or people. It means you're going on dates that are expensive and that's really all there is to it. Did you
Right.
have a good time or not? Like, it's just not a flex to me.
Right. And it's so funny you say that you'll just be single for a lot longer because that's what I
Yeah.
say all the time. It's like when you're putting these like who do you want to be in a relationship? A great guy or a restaurant? Like a
Right.
restaurant is not going to be there for you at
Yeah.
your worst. A
Yeah.
restaurant's not going to be there to spend time together or hold you at night, or get
Yeah.
through your problems. Like as a gay man, like this is what I worry about is the guy going to be so much more wrapped up that I'm wearing a t-shirt from 10 years ago
Mhm.
and shoes that are scuffed up
Yeah.
over, is he going to care about that over someone who would be loyal, faithful, will never cheat on you, you
Mhm.
know, cares about you? Do you know what I mean? For like the superficial, shallow stuff.
I do know, and honestly, Bradley, yeah, some guys are gonna care,
Mm,
and they will.
they're lost.
I know, but this part of this conversation was I really wanted to hopefully dispel the weight and value we place upon money in the
Mm,
dating process. And if we can get beyond that and just start to build those connections, just see people for who they are, how they're showing up for us. Is this something that's fulfilling? Let's start there. And then, I mean, if you're kind of going to know about someone's money more or less based on their clothes, right? The car, where they live. Like you can pick up things about their lifestyle without asking the money question. So like using some intel, just some observation there, but the just the money in my mind doesn't matter
mm,
until you're starting to really be like, yeah, I could see this going somewhere. And then talk about it. And hell, if you
right.
want to talk about it on the first day, then do it. I mean, if you really want to, do it. All right, Bradley, let us give the flirties listening some dating on a budget ideas. What could they do?
I don't think the restaurant idea is a bad one. I just think keep it low key, keep it casual,
Hmm.
and keep it in moderation.
Sure.
It's not a competition for you to be spending what the partner plans to spend. I'm such an outdoorsy person. I always want to say a hike because
Hmm.
hikes are free typically where you tend to go. But
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that also could be a little unsafe with someone you don't really know. So maybe
Yeah.
save the hike for like number 4 or 5. Don't
Ah.
do it right away. I don't know, like what you mentioned earlier, like going on a walk, or if
Mhm.
there's a cute part of downtown, window shop. Like I
Sure.
don't, I'm so boring.
I'm
I'm
gonna
so
give.
boring.
All
But
right. I'm gonna give the flirties a ton of ideas
okay, perfect.
for what to do. To your point about the hike, I mean, if it's somewhere super remote, you're going into the woods and this is someone you doesn't don't know yet, understand safety first, but a public park, something in town,
Mm,
lots of those options could be really great. Of course, coffee and have it be something, is there a new coffee shop opening or is there one you maybe just always wanted to try? Is there a pop-up somewhere? Have it be an experience and really lean in to that part of it. I
mm,
really like offering brunch, breakfast, lunchtime dates. Dates do not always have to be at night. It doesn't
right.
always have to be dinner. And if you go out for breakfast, lunch, brunch, something like that, probably a little bit less expensive than dinner. I love farmers markets, right? Just going, grabbing a coffee or a pastry or something, and then walking around and just seeing what's there. Is there, we're getting into the holiday season here. Are there some craft markets opening up nearby, some pop up street fairs, something like that, that you could window shop back to your idea? So much fun.
Right.
You could do something like ice cream is fantastic, even just going out for dessert. Doesn't have to
Oh,
be I
I
think
would love that.
sometimes we get stuck on it that it has to be a full meal, like you're sitting
Totally.
down. Not always. You can still go for food and do something like donuts or something like that. The other one I'll offer, and this is not everywhere, but kind of being a tourist in your own city.
I
So,
was
is
gonna say that.
there a museum? Is there an
Mm.
architecture tour? Are you in Chicago? Maybe you wanna do the river cruise, although that might be a little expensive. That might be pricey, but you could do the river walk, like, there's so many options just to play tourist in your own city. So just, like, starting to think outside the box, look for those deals that are happening. Like I do bowling on Monday nights with some of the
Oh,
Trader
yeah.
Joe's crew, and for 17 bucks, unlimited bowling, shoes included, sneak
Love.
in a beverage, right?
Cool.
And so for, not too much money, if you're paying for both people, $40, but probably cheaper than dinner for two plus tip, right?
Right. Well, I was gonna say too, let's not forget that picnics are a really great
Yes.
thing. I mean,
That
at
was
least
one of
here.
my best first dates ever was a picnic.
Right, because it still involves food, but
Mhm.
obviously if you're making the food yourself, I mean, or you could go pick up a sandwich, but I'm always trying to do things as cheap as possible. So
Yeah.
I've done it before where we both suggested we'll make our food and we'll just meet up together.
Yeah.
That was really nice. So,
Yeah.
but I do like the idea too. Typically if you live in a large, big city, I know like I used to live in New York City, so there's the High Line that you could walk
Yeah.
around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a ton of things, or I guess even in smaller states. Just
Yeah.
Google free things to do in my
Absolutely.
area. And like you
Yeah.
said, if bowling's cheaper on Monday, maybe if you do your research, you could find a lot of things, that are just cheaper on those specific days. There's
100%.
always a cheaper way to do something. That's always my motto.
Yes, and don't you feel the least bit bad about dating with a budget, all right? If you like we also have if you have one of those sort of like discount movie theater chains or a lot of
Mm.
movie theaters have, I think the one here on Tuesdays, it's like 6 or $8 movie nights, right? It's,
Yeah.
come in with a blanket so you can bring in your candy and
Hey,
save a little bit more money,
there
and
you
then
go.
for under 20 bucks you just there's your date night. I mean, so just starting to think outside the box, get creative. You could even do something like go to a yoga class. There's a studio here on Sundays that offers $10 classes,
Huh.
so for 20 bucks there's your date. Then go walk around, grab some ice cream, just grab a pint from the grocery store, two spoons,
There you go.
30 bucks, there's your date. Fantastic.
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to answer this question now about who's paying. And we're going to keep this short and sweet, Brad, because I don't think it needs a long, drawn out discussion. I think it is different based on if it's straights or queers.
Yes.
So we'll start with the gays. If two people of the same sex, gender orientation on a date, who's paying? What do you think?
Pay for yourself.
Oh,
Oh, are we shocked by
if we're going
that?
Dutch?
Just, what I've done is I cover my bill, they cover their bill,
Okay.
and that's just how I like it. I
Hmm.
think even though I could be very cheap, I think I always tell myself if we actually got into a committed relationship, I would maybe cover the tab once or twice. I'm sure people would be shocked to hear that, but I don't know. At least that's always been my mindset. I'm like, I'm a dude, you're a dude. Let's just take care of ourselves. Yeah,
Okay.
that's always been my mindset. What's your opinion on
Okay.
it?
That's your take. My take is if I'm asking you out, I'm paying.
Oh,
If I
okay.
if I am if
I've
I'm
been
asking
told
you
that
out on
before.
the date, it is not I am not placing the expectation upon you that you will pay for yourself. At the same time, that means I'm also planning the date and it'll be something within that I can afford.
Oh, yes. Yes, right.
So if it goes both ways too. We're not going to Ruth's Chris. That's not happening. or an expensive dinner.
Uh-huh.
Although to your what you said, I have heard from the European flirties that they often go Dutch.
Okay, is going Dutch just taking care of yourself? Or splitting it in
Yes.
half maybe
Yes, go
perhaps?
50-50. Yes.
Okay.
I don't think that's exclusive across the board in Europe, but I have heard several times, yes, that over there they pay for yes, they pay for themselves.
I love it. I mean, I also don't run my AC in the summertime, so I think I'm more European than I realized.
Okay, for the straight daters, who's paying?
The straight daters. I think it is polite and appropriate for the gentleman to take
Mhm.
care of the lady.
I agree with you.
Right.
That man is paying. And I also want to address this question. It's like I heard from a few flirties. It's like, well, Benjamin, I would almost rather pay for myself so that I don't feel like I'm in sort of quote unquote in debt now, right? Like I owe this person something. So let's
Interesting.
dispel that right now. You don't owe it's a first date. He asked you out, you're going to dinner. You don't owe that man anything but an answer about are we doing a second date? You don't owe him anything but your honesty. That
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
okay. I mean,
Yeah. Let me
personally.
ask you this one that came through. So this was a question. If you're on a first date and it's there's no second date.
Oh no.
It's just not happening. You already know. Do you offer to pay for yourself?
Oh, interesting. Huh.
Right? And this is from a lady flirty who's like, yeah, should I just, cover my tab and peace out, thank you.
I don't oh my gosh. Again, I don't feel like there's like a yes or no answer to that.
Mhm,
You can maybe follow the societal rules to let them pay for it, and
mhm.
then I wouldn't text them in an hour and be like, "Hey, I don't
Yeah.
think it was working out." But I don't know. I think that answer has to so be what's true with you.
I mean, I would say don't feel guilty for if he's covering the tab. I mean, if it feels right in the moment, like this is what you need to do, pay for your half, then by all means, right? You have our support. Um, but it's okay if, he probably wants to. I hope so.
Right, but that's what dating is too. Dating is not
Yeah,
always expected to work out,
right.
And so I would think maybe the other party would also understand, you know,
Sure.
they cover the tab as they probably were planning to,
Mhm.
and if you weren't interested and it didn't work out, well that's what dating is. So,
Yeah, and this is like that who pays on the first date question is so controversial and contentious that I haven't even made that video. I haven't.
mm,
And you know what? I'm not going to.
yeah. I know. Well,
Be
now you've got me thinking because I might be going on a date this weekend. I don't know, and I
yeah.
asked him out, and now I'm like, oh no, Benjamin, am I? did
Uh,
I did I get myself caught up in something?
I mean, you could do a budget-friendly date idea.
I guess so. I guess I'm gonna have to look at what's free around here.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hit up a
Um,
farmer's market.
yeah, because there's so much content out there, that I see it all the time that is like, that man has to pay for every single date. He should be taking care of you from day
Mm,
one. Right. It just puts so much emphasis on the money piece and as if that is what allows him to be a high value partner. And
mm.
I just don't agree with that. And I
No, it's
also
sad.
I know. I also see from and hear from a lot of the lady flirties that are like, you know what? I would rather go 50-50 on a first date, on that third date, fourth date. I don't mind paying for dinner. And so I
Mm.
think there's so much nuance to it. And it becomes really personal, just in your own dating decisions around money. But I'll just say we'll move on right now. That man's paying on the first date and the second date. I stand by that statement. Okay, I think, yeah, I just wanted to ask you now, going back to what we were just chatting about at the beginning of the episode for the flirties that are in debt right now and looking to get out of debt, maybe start saving for the first time, make a budget. What tips do you have for them? Where should they start?
I think everyone always thinks winning with money is only a money thing. Like if I make more money, it's all going to get better. And it it also has to do with your mindset. And something that I realized so much when I was at the beginning of my six-figure student loan debt journey was that I had to believe it could get better. Like
Mm,
unless you have no idea what it's like to be in $130,000 of debt making $12 an hour.
mm,
Even when I thought it's never going to go away, what I always told myself was, what can I do to make this situation better? Because my financial situation felt so out of control. To be in so much debt and the loans were like 8% interest, it
mhm,
was growing by the day. It felt like a train that was about to completely fall off the tracks.
mhm,
And I told myself, this feels so out of control. What am I in control of in this situation? Mind you,
mm,
I was 20 years old.
mm,
I was
mhm,
20
mhm.
years old, and looking back, I'm like, wow, you like were just out of diapers and you had such like a mature mindset about turning your financial situation around. Cause I feel like if I looked at a 20-year-old today, I feel like all they would do is like F around, not care, just be like living for today.
Uh-huh.
Take your financial situation seriously.
Mhm,
Social media has made debt a joke and it's made debt a competition of who has more.
mhm.
And you do have to take it seriously. Um, and there's so much I want to say because it matters so much to me. It's
Yeah,
like, had I not started from the day I graduated 11 years ago,
yeah.
I would now be almost 32 years old, drowning in six figures of debt.
Mm, mhm,
So ask yourself, if I keep doing what I'm doing and I don't get a budget, I don't develop discipline, I don't learn how to say no to things, I don't learn how to do things cheaper,
mhm,
am I going to be happy with myself when 10 years goes by and I'm in
mhm,
the exact place I'm at right now?
mm, mhm,
Or
mhm,
am I going to be happy 10 years from now if my financial problems have gotten worse
mm,
because I didn't take it seriously?
mhm,
I mean, I am so grateful for the 20-year-old version of myself that was
mhm.
like, fuck this.
Yeah.
This situation is awful. This is a
Mhm.
nightmare.
Yeah.
But if I stick to it and I don't give up, and every little victory, you know, maybe the debt won't go away, but at least I'll be okay. That's all I wanted, was to just be okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so anyways, my God, me and my TED Talks, like shut up. But for anyone who's listening, please first believe it can get better. You
Okay.
know, $30,000 of credit card debt probably feels like a mountain to you. You're
Mhm.
listening to a guy who was in six figures of debt, making $12 an hour, and thought my life was over. And it's not. It's actually better than ever.
Mm,
And so believe it can get better. Change your mindset around spending. I have people telling me ever since they started listening to me, they've paid off credit cards, they've started saving money, they've started changing their mindset. And you need someone to wake you up. That's why I
mm,
scream in my videos, wake up, because you
mhm,
need to. We're just living day to day,
mhm.
spending, being reckless, not caring about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, Anyways, oh my God, I'm doing the worst job of like pitching it to people. Like, wake up, like, come on,
Well,
you can do this.
they just need to go follow you.
I mean, I guess so, but
Yeah.
honestly, I just want the best for people.
Yeah.
And I want people to win with money, and it starts with you.
Yeah.
It starts with you. Cook your meals at home, stop online shopping. If you have one thing in that Amazon cart, you better go delete it after you listen to this podcast. I don't know. I don't care about the gasp, okay? Because you're going to get bored at night, or you're going to be sad at night, or you had a long day at work and you're going to click buy now, and
Yeah.
you know,
But I need it.
no, you want it. You don't need it. You want it. Learn the wants versus the needs.
I do want it. Bradley, thank you so much for having this conversation with us today as we chatted about money, dating on a budget, budget-friendly date ideas, who's paying, and lots more in between. I'll have all of your links in the show notes below and send the flirties your way.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Bradley.
All right, thank you.
Flirties, what do you think of this episode? Thank you so much to Bradley for having this conversation with us, sharing some dating on a budget tips and overall money saving tips as well. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Hope you did as well and got tons of value and insight from this conversation today. Flirty, now to you. Thank you for listening, for streaming, for tuning in, wherever you may be in the world, wherever you're at in life, coming together to listen to this podcast. Thank you so much. Please rate, review, subscribe to the show if you haven't already. Thank you if you have. Share this with a friend, someone you even sort of like and want to share some dating advice with. You think may need to hear this? Yeah. Send this episode or another their way. And again, thank you, because I could not do this without you, truly. Thank you so much for listening. That's going to do it for me from here at Flirt Headquarters. My name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach. And Gay Libra officially signing off now. Flirty. Happy flirting.